The Biden White House is putting a stop to senior administration officials traveling internationally for energy engagements that promote carbon-intensive fuels. One America's Daniel Baldwin has more.
Well, we're speaking with Daniel Turner of Power of the Future. Sir, President Joe Biden's White House is clamping down on senior administration officials from attending international conferences or engagements that promote fossil fuel production, according to an internal memo. The National Security Council is prohibiting these administration officials from traveling to these conferences that promote, quote-unquote, carbon-intensive engagements, a.k.a. oil, coal, natural gas. This is the latest step in the Biden administration's war on oil, sir. But don't you think it's a little bit childish to take a step such as this? You're not allowed to go to Canada for an engagement that promotes oil and gas, but you can go to Iran or Venezuela.
Yeah, exactly. This is the administration making it very clear that the American energy industry, the fossil fuel industry, is the enemy. And we talk about how Biden has declared war on energy. He's declared war on American energy independence. And this is proof of it. When you have a flat out enemy, which is the oil and gas industry, coal, fossil fuels, and you're prohibiting people from attending their conferences, you're allowed to have the soft diplomacy of negotiating with enemies. You're allowed to have the soft heck, a whole bunch of senators are going next week to China, and they're hoping to have a sit down with Xi Jinping. So you're allowed that type of diplomacy. But if there was a natural gas conference in the North Atlantic, if there was a coal conference in Australia, we're not allowed to attend. So you're right. It's not just myopic. It's really childish. It's just very silly of the administration to continue to play these games and demonize an industry which, quite frankly, does provide the ability for Biden to attend these other conferences. Next month is COP28. Several hundred, if not several thousand, Biden administrations will fly to Dubai for this conference. 40,000 people attended the one last year in Egypt. They're all going to get on jets, right? They're all going to have motorcades. Biden took Air Force One to Michigan. To going back to EVs, he took Air Force One to Michigan for 12 minutes. And then flew to California for a fundraiser, fossil fuels. So he'll use our fossil fuels for his lifestyle, but he will prohibit his administration from participating in fossil fuel conferences. I find that to be more than ironic.
And just a few things that he himself has done since being in office. He signed that executive order in August of 2021, mandating that 50% of new cars be produced to have zero emissions by 2030 and that the power sector be carbon-free by 2035. Daniel, this intentional freeze-out of fossil fuels, from your perspective, will do what to the American way of life as we know it?
Well, first off, these are all just made up terms and numbers, right? There's no such thing as carbon neutral or carbon free. They claim EVs have no emissions, but EVs emissions are all on the front end in constructing that EV. And quite frankly, the emissions on the front end, the manufacturing, the earth moving, the rare earths, et cetera, are greater than the emissions of a fossil fuel combustion engine on the back end. So it's just where the emissions are calculated and how they're calculated, again, playing these silly games. But if we continue down this path, you know what? People say it's going to be the end of America, and it's not. America's not going to collapse. It's not going to end. But it will look like France. It will look like Italy. It will look like a first world stagnant economy, highly socialist, very expensive taxes, largesse amongst the workforce. And I don't want to be those countries.
We'd like to welcome you to our new home for uncensored news and hard-hitting talk shows. If you're tired of cable companies and social media giants chipping away at your most basic and important right, freedom of speech, by shadow banning, demonetizing, censoring, and policing every single one of your posts, then One America News on Locals is just what you've been looking for. Finally, you'll have the freedom to express your point of view and stay connected with like-minded fellow patriots. And the best part is, OAN on Locals is only $5 a month. All of our credible, honest, unbiased reporting, ad-free talk shows, and exclusive content, all at the fraction of the cost of cable. So to watch, just click the join button to get the news you can't get anywhere else.